Welcome to Satsang. Someone sent me an email. Actually, this is a very common letter, but it triggered me when I read it. Immediately it triggered. I said, yeah, I've got to have the special talk. And the special talk is this: there's only love. And hopefully that whoever is going to listen to this will actually hear it. So this person said, Burt, I've been doing the spiritual meditation for years. I prayed, I chanted, I attended retreats, I read books, I studied. I know Advaita Vedanta, I could even write a book myself. I said, after all these years I look back and I'm still the same. I don't feel any different. Okay, so this is the point I'd like to stress here, is that we put the cart before the horse. You know what I mean? Like, for example, he meditated, he chanted, he did this and he did that, but he didn't realize that what spirituality is all about is not something you're going to accomplish, it's not something you're going to get, it's not something that something you're going to achieve or anything like that. What it is simply love. The awakening of love. Because love is what it's all about. Without love, there is no meaning to life. Without love, nothing is worth it. As a matter of fact, many people live life without love, and they look back in retrospect, they find they haven't lived at all. Because you are to the extent that you have love. Now you might say, then if I have love, do I meditate, do I chant? You don't have to raise that question, because when you have love, you want to chant. When you have love, you want to meditate. Because you feel that gratitude, you feel that energy moving, you see? So in other words, love has to come first. But we have to understand also that love is not only what you are, but also it's something that brings a fear of itself. Let me explain here. See, you are a human being, okay? We've said it many, many times before, but hopefully that when you hear it this time, you'll really hear it. You're a human being playing the human role. You know, of Jerry, of Jan, of Bert, you know. So when you realize that you are being and you place the being first, then you'll find that all you have to do is be, and all the answers will come to you, no matter what happens. When I first had this clarity come to me, the year 2000, I found, my goodness, questions dropped away, and any question that confronted me, I found the answer. So let's go into this, and I have 4 questions that people have sent, and there are 4 different ones, and hopefully we see how we can answer them by knowing the following setup, how love works. Okay, there are, from all the emotions, okay, there are hundreds of emotions, but they're all separated into 2, love or fear. All negative emotions are known as fear. All positive emotions are known as love. But the interesting thing here is that the fear, which is all negative emotions, which makes our world hell itself, all suffering, is only one thing. Do you know what it is? All seeking of love. It doesn't matter how you phrase it. It doesn't matter how you try to understand it. When you understand love, you'll see that everything that is bringing pain, everything that is bringing any form of unhappiness in your life is all a seeking of love. Okay, and I hope that by the end of this satsang, this will become very, very clear. Love itself is being. Being means because people said, well, I have to make love, you know, or sex or whatever. No, love is not something that you do, it is something that you are. You know, one time I was walking along the street after my clarity there, and I saw this beautiful flower. It was always there somehow, but I've never noticed it. And the flower gave me its perfume. You know, I bent down, and it was so beautiful. And I thought at that moment, I said, this is love. It gives love of its perfume, it gives love of its beauty, of its miracle structure, and yet it's there, being. You know, then I look at the mountains in British Columbia, and it's so beautiful, they're awesome. They're just being, you know. Or you watch sunset or sunrise, and it's being. And a child, 1 year old, it smiles. It has no manipulation, it has no need to control anything, it does not it wants to exploit you, nothing, it just smiles and it steals your heart because it is being. You see? So what we call beauty, what we call happiness, what we call joy, what we call fullness of being is the being of love. When we go to seek it, we are saying subconsciously, I don't have love. You see? And that embeds itself into your subconscious and starts making you seeking love. Now, seeking love, it is so 95% of everybody you meet is seeking love. But let's make it clear before we go further how prevalent this is. Mention a negative here. Give me a negative emotion.
Jealousy.
Jealousy, for example. Very good. How is jealousy seeking love? Before I tell you, can you tell me? How is jealousy seeking love?
It's the admittance of not being good enough.
Very good. Yes. And you want to feel good enough, but you don't feel good enough. And so, what if somebody steals my girlfriend or something takes, you see what I mean? You don't feel good enough, so you're feeling this pang because you want to be good enough. So there is a seeking for it. And remember that all seeking means you want to feel good. Okay? So when we talk about wanting love or seeking love, is you are seeking to feel good. Everybody wants to feel good. It doesn't matter what it is you're doing. Reading, walking, working, it doesn't matter. You want to feel good. Okay? Because goodness is the very nature of being. Goodness and love are synonymous. They're one and the same thing. But you see, if we simplify it like this, it will make all psychology so incredibly simple. So every problem that a person has is always because you are seeking love. Okay? And from that seeking becomes the great catastrophe in your life. Now, here is the point. Why does it become so catastrophic? Because when you seek something, you always seek it for your own personal need. And this is one thing that is frightening to most people who hear it. Because anything that you make personal brings pain. And yet we live in a world of personal improvement, personal empowerment. This is going to feed you good personally, you know. You will personally feel really, really good, etc., etc. And so everything is based on personal. But the thing that we want, and this is the paradox, so please listen very carefully, is that all you ever wanting is the being. But the being is not something, it is being itself. You see? So when it's being itself, it doesn't seek. And when it doesn't seek, it has magnetism. It has this energy automatically. For example, let's say you're having a conversation. One man asked me, he said, but Burt, if I lose my ego, my personal sense of self, how do I listen to people? I said, that's when you listen the most. Because when you totally listen, you forget yourself and you become the listening. In the same way, when you love your child, you look at your child and you forget yourself. You know, when the mother first gives birth to her child and she holds the the child in her arms for the first time, she's all aglow. She forgets all the pain that it took to give birth. You see? Because that's what love is. Love makes you forget yourself. But when people are told to forget themselves, it feels like such a tall order, not realizing that when you disappear, when you actually forget yourself, is the greatest joy there is the greatest feeling of fulfillment, you see? So the only bugbear in this is the understanding that when you, Jesus said it, he said, when you lose yourself, you'll find yourself. You see? So, and Buddha talked about it, and all the great ones talked about it, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi. It is when you are no longer in your personal sense, egoic sense, that you are in your fullness of being. You see? So give me another one, negative, to see how it's all a seeking. All negativity is a seeking. All problems are a seeking.
Anger.
Anger. Okay. Now feel it out. Feel out the anger. Okay, I know you're not angry at the moment, but feel out anger is taking place. It's an energy, isn't it? Okay, now remember, all energy, whether good or bad, right or wrong, negative or positive, it's all energy. Okay? That's how we can transform fear into love very easily. So now you're in touch with anger. There is anger. What are you trying to do when you have anger? If you shout, what are you trying to do with the shout?
Communicate, right. To be heard, to be right.
Heard, to be right.
To control.
To control. You see, I'm shouting because I want you to listen to me. Got it? You see? But why do you want a person to listen to you? Because listening means I want love. I want you to love me. I want you to respect me. I want you to look up to me. But why are they seeking that?
Because they feel that they don't have it within themselves.
Very good. They feel impotent. So anger is a form of inner impotence that's trying to gain control on the outside so that it feels more control and power. But you see, all negative seeking, all of it, is trying to gain power. But the real power is in being. It is not in anything else. You see? Power, Jesus, when he was crucified, he never lost his power at all. Never. You know, he's in full power all the time, even when he was beaten and everything else. And this is why in history is so outstanding. Because when you know who you are and there isn't an ego to defend, to protect, that's your power. You know, what was his name? Asagiola, the founder of psychosynthesis, he said, and I repeat this often, he said, 95% of our energy is spent protecting, defending, and maintaining your self-image, your imagination, and there isn't one. You know, and it's quite something. So imagine 95% of your energy. So this means that if you were to forget yourself in that moment, aren't you love at that moment? The moment you forget yourself? You see, it's been said that one of the greatest fears between the fear of death is public speaking. And you appear in front of people and you start talking. And you begin to shake, and you... The first time I appeared in front of a TV camera and I had an audience there, and it was my first experience. I wanted to die. My knees were shaking, you know. And the woman with me, Eva, bless her heart, she said to me during a commercial, she said, Burt, you know, you taught us not to be so self-conscious, and here you are, you know, you're feeling this. And she said, talk about it, express it, let it out. And then when I came out, I started expressing how I felt. And I felt, yes, I'm scared, and this is what is happening, and this is my first experience. And you know, when it was over, people applauded. Because it was real. It wasn't rehearsed, you know. So there's beauty in being yourself. But now, what does it mean, being yourself?
It means exposing the personality as it is, as opposed to trying to either become aware of it and jump over that. So it expresses the part of you that is in your personality. It's an exposure.
It's and also you're not being. See, it is the ego that brings out all this. How I should be. What if they don't like me? What if this happens? What if I make a fool of myself? What if I say the wrong thing? But when all that is gone, the being takes over.
Right.
You see? Right. So you expose everything, and you're not afraid to expose yourself and say, yes, I'm afraid. Yes, I'm afraid. You see? And the moment you admit it openly, there's a release, because you see, the ego hates admitting fear. That's why it wants control, because it wants to be right. But why do we want to be right? Why do we have a need to be right?
That
Want to be okay.
It gives us a sense of power, control.
That's right.
That. It gives us a false sense of being loved, but really
lovable.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. And that is the whole point. So anyway, to make this brief, because now there's something I'm looking forward to, reading the mail. I've got 4 letters, and to see that how everybody, when whatever they ask, whatever problems arise, whatever questions come into being, it's all a seeking of love. So when you hear these being read, and Jan said that you would like to read them for me, so that's, thank you. Okay, so when Jan is reading the letter, just ask yourself this: where is the seeking of love in this? And what makes the difference between seeking love and being love? Because if you're being love, would these questions arise? You see, for example, I get a lot of intellectual questions, okay? And for example, scientists measure light, they measure space, they measure everything, okay? Light travels 186,000 miles per second type of thing, you know. It's measured. But in truth, does it really travel? Or, for example, it's only a measurement as far as we are concerned. But in the overall picture, is anything really ever happening? See, so according to our level, we try to measure things, we try to scientifically prove something. But then there comes a point when your love is so fulfilling, is so accomplished, you feel so good being you, that no matter what questions arise, you look at them, you don't even try to answer them. The answer is there because you have love. How does that make sense right now? Can we discuss that for a moment? Someone is asking, for example, okay, there's a question asked, someone asked me, he said, Burt, he said, I've been listening to stories about indigo children remembering their past lives. And he said they remember them so clear, and it's been proven that their story is actually authenticated. You know, and they found out it's actually true. He said, but how can that be when the memory comes from the brain? And so when the brain dies and people dies, how is memory carried over? I don't understand. Okay? Now, the point is he didn't understand because he's trying to make sense out of it. But if he comes to the point where he realizes that love is being, love is complete, love is fullness, love is all there is, how does it answer that question? I know it's a tall order, but let's go into it for a moment. Let's explore that.
Well, in one sense, it makes the question irrelevant, because there is nothing to prove, there's no more information to get, there's no more seeking. In some ways, trying to figure that out is, how do I get that and understand that? and that becomes a null point, because you are full of being in the moment, and the whole time-space continuum begins to open up, not so that you get more knowledge, but just because the very nature of being is not confined by time and space. So that's what I would say.
And love is not confined to time and space.
Yeah.
So therefore, one is eternal. And now, whether one has lived before or not is irrelevant at that point.
Mm-hmm.
You see? Because even what we call memory, first of all, memory, does it come from the brain? Feel it out, please. We're talking love now. Okay, keep seeing love, keep seeing love. God is love, okay? When what we call love is really, we gave it the name God, unconditional love. Okay, so we begin to understand this, how that which is, okay, is eternal, is unchanging, is forever. Does memory come from the brain?
Yeah, that just separates, that just cuts this little compartment off, because there's a fullness of everything right there that doesn't depend upon an individual physical unit to hold it. It exists.
Doesn't need a physical unit to hold it. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, go on. I'm sorry.
It is a fullness that is happening always and now. And I know that sounds crazy.
Right, yeah. This is it. It's always happening now. It seems as if it happened in the past. It seems as if it's going to be happening in the future. But there's only now. Eternally, never changing. You see what I mean? So the premise of the being itself, okay, like, for example, I did hypnotherapy for 30 years. And to take a person back to a past life, just like this, it happened so fast, sometimes it just took me for surprise. I learned a lot through it, you see. So the point is that when a person goes to the past, it could be even 2 lives prior. They still remember what happened then, now. And they feel it in the body now. You see? So
do you think it's helpful to actually
no,
go back?
no,
I would
no.
think
That's why I
not.
quit hypnotherapy. I'm not saying it's not helpful. It helped people. It helped people because everybody, the mind wants a reason why things happen. And if you go back to the source, they feel a little bit better. Oh, well, I'm not crazy after all. It was this that produced it. You see? So in that case, it is helpful. But overall, the most important thing is to help a person get to know who they are. And who you are is being. You are being, playing the human role. There are 7 billion humans on this earth, but there's only one being. And that one being experiences all the roles. Everything is happening within this moment, eternally. It is all-encompassing. It is all one. We call it God. We call it goodness. We call it joy. We call it heaven. Okay? But if you glimpse that moment, if you glimpse that energy, if you feel it even for a second, I am that, how can there be a question of anything that happens? Because it becomes the answer immediately. But if you go into your head seeking answers, the answers start coming from your past, from your conditioning, from your training, from this. It doesn't come from the heart. Like somebody said to me, Burt, you say, live from the heart. Well, how can I live from the heart? You know, says when I need to make decisions, important executive decisions, you know, somebody asked me. And the point is, they don't understand that the heart is everything. It is the essence of you. It is the life of you. It is the wholeness of you. It is the God of you. You see, and there is no separation. Everything is one. No separation at all. It is that separation that makes us goof up all the time and makes us suffer. You see? So are there any questions at all before we go and answer these points?
You said something in the beginning about bringing being to the forefront.
Being into the forefront, right. In
But
other words,
when you said that, something wanted to ask, who is bringing the being?
very good. No, this is good, you see, because we have to understand there's only oneness. There is no ego doing anything or wanting anything. So, this is so good. So the point is this: are the fears real? Are our doubts real? Are our questions real? They make them real because we think there is an ego that is trying to get something and become something else. And this ego is going to get rid of itself so that it can be one. Which is absurd, because there's never been a time when you were not one. There's never been a time when you were an ego. There's never been a time when you were personal. This is all an illusion. So when you ask that, I applaud you. There is no one. But there is always the thought. You see how beautiful it is when you begin to look? There's always the thought that if I overcome the ego, which is raising all these questions, which is doing all the seeking, you see? If I can get rid of the ego, then I'm going to be one. But the point is, you've never been anything but one. So the key is to understand that the ego does not exist except in imagination. It is conditioned, you see? And even our religions don't help. Because even when we think of God, immediately we think of it as someone outside of us. And we create separation. You see? Now there's so much written about non-duality. Buddha taught non-duality. Jesus taught non-duality. Ramana Maharshi taught non-duality. But we don't understand it. So we go back to religion. And we create something outside of us. Now, can we help it? No. We have to reach a level when we realize there's nothing outside of you. There's only is. And that is the answer to everything. Call it heart, call it God, call it love. It doesn't matter. Call it nirvana. It doesn't matter. It is. It is complete. It is full. And when we begin to trust that, you disappear. Okay? And when you disappear, you begin to feel a joy you never knew was possible. You begin to feel good. And then you figure, oh my goodness, it is really very simple. All I need to do is to see that there is only God. There's nothing else. It doesn't matter what you call it, okay? So.
I got another question.
Yes.
Remember you were talking about the executive. He was, when he makes decision, he was debating whether, it's coming from the heart or from the mind. Is there some way of gauging whether a decision is coming from the heart or from
because the heart is immediate when we listen. When it comes from the head, we have to think about it.
So
and we weigh the pros and
right
cons.
Away,
the heart is immediate.
so
Okay, let's say
if it feels right away, you get an idea right away that's probably from the heart.
It depends, because the ego loves jumping in. So let's see what we mean by right away. Okay, let's just say you're depressed. Okay, be depressed right now. Okay, good. Okay, now tell me, how would you prefer to feel instead of being depressed? How would you prefer to feel instead?
Feel good, joyful.
Did you have to think about it? It's immediate. That's the heart. See? That's the heart. The heart is good. The heart is joyful. The heart is being. You don't need to think about it. It's immediate. It's now. You see, the heart knows. But sometimes we can be impulsive and reach an egoic decision and thinking is the heart. But then, if we are true to ourselves, we know it wasn't the heart. Because we still have a doubt. We still have a... See, when it's the heart, not only you can feel it in a minute, but it feels right. You don't question it. There's no question. You see?
So in the case of an executive who has to make business decisions, I wonder how one would advise him to be
Well,
guided
the
by
point
that.
is that when you reach the executive point, usually you've done a lot of training, a lot of problem solving, a lot of puzzles and all that. So he has trained to come to put a series of thoughts together, formed in a formula to reach a decision. So this is how the mind is trained by an executive or somebody that makes major decisions. You know, a politician, the president, you know, of a country, for example, this is how they reach decisions, by actually weighing the pros and cons and coming to the point. But when we not train the heart, because the heart doesn't need any training, but when we begin to resort to the heart, really, how does it feel? See, the mind will contradict it. For example, you know, should we have war? You know, should the United States be at war? You see? And the president might say, yes, because we need the oil, we need what they have, we need this and that, you see? So you begin to think economically, and then before you know it, you're thinking physical. Your solution might be okay as far as the world is concerned, but as far as the happiness of the people, the joy of the people, the peace of the people, is something entirely different. That can only come from the heart, you see? Now, maybe if we have a woman president in the future and she's full of heart, and if she's elected, then we could have a totally different world, you see? But the point is that people are trained differently in order, like I said, you know, economically comes first. When you are in politics, when you are an executive, when you are in business, economics always comes first. You know, survival is all matter of money, okay? But one thing that the mind doesn't understand, and it comes very slow, is that when you live from the heart, you're abundant. But not abundant in the sense of having millions in the bank. But you're better off than having millions in the bank, because whenever you have a need, it's fulfilled. Because you find that you're being taken care of. You are the universe, you are everything, you see? But that is something you cannot teach, that is something you cannot tell a person. Even now, for example, you're listening to Burt and you say, well, that sounds good. But the point is to start living it and to prove it to yourself. That when you start living from your heart, you find that there is a difference, that there's an incredible difference between heart and mind.
I think even within the business world, there's possibly a place for the heart.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. I'm not saying there isn't. Oh my goodness, there are many wealthy men who are beautiful, and they do listen to the heart, and they give a lot. Oh yes, my goodness. It's a beautiful thing was Mother Teresa. She was a Catholic. But to her, religions didn't mean anything. She was in India and she took care of Hindus. They needed somebody to take care of them. And she toiled day after day. She was in her 80s and she's taking care of hundreds and hundreds of people who are sick in India. They don't have money, and everything that was done for free. And she had nuns who helped her, and she built up a whole structure. And she met many beautiful businessmen who gave her a lot of money. I'm not going to say how much, but they gave her a lot. And they said to her, no, thank you that I was able to give you this money, because now it makes me even richer. You see?
So my point is, say within a business organization, if an executive makes a decision that comes from the heart being something that's good for...
It's good for everybody.
Everybody.
Right.
In
it's
the
a
end,
win-win.
Actually, it's better for the business itself.
Yes. If you think like that, yes. And there are business people who think like that. Oleg is one of them.
So what's good for other people is good for my company, right? So
yeah. And so when you begin to think like that, you think win-win.
Win-win.
Nobody loses. You see what I mean? And when you think win-win, everybody wins, even you, who gave up the money. You see? So the heart is a win-win. Whereas the mind is structured to organize, to plan, to weigh the pros and cons, to make judgments, which up to a level this is okay until we reach the heart, but until we reach the heart, we have to understand that when you reach the heart, you've got all answers. You've got all the answers. Everything is so clear. And when you reach that clarity, that's called peace. You see? And that's what peace is. You're no longer seeking. So let's make it brief, okay? 95% of everybody on this earth is seeking all the time. Whether intellectually, the need to be right. Thank you. Yeah. Whether you are seeking intellectually, which is the need to be right, you know, to feel good. You feel good when you win an argument. You feel good when you are right, which is still seeking. You see? Or you can do it emotionally, to feel secure, to feel safe. You see? Or you can do it in many different ways. Emotionally, intellectually. What other ways are there? Physically?
Physically?
Yeah.
What would that be?
Yeah. Well, you want to be really good looking. You want to be
young.
You want to be young. All women are chasing after you if you're a guy, you know, and the women, you get the
But
attention.
that youth thing is very prevalent.
Very prevalent. Yes.
See it
Yes.
everywhere.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. To appear youthful. Yeah. So. Okay, so is that very clear? That 95% of the population are always seeking. Seeking leads to all kinds of suffering. So if you want to find out what causes emotional dysfunction or ending up in a mental home, I know I'm making it very simplistic, but to me it is. Okay, it is all a seeking of who and what you already are but don't know it. You see? And yeah.
And in that seeking too, there is so much rejection.
Yes.
Which is so painful.
Yes. Well, this is it, because you're seeking to make the personal stand out. I want you to love me so I can love you, type of thing. You see, when you seek a relationship, everybody is seeking out. See, so I want you to be this way and I want you to be that way. You see, so we have so many conditions all the time, which cannot be done because we have certain lessons that we need to learn in our lifetime, you see. So, so the personal, even if you stop for a moment, think of yourself as personal right now. Isn't there a fear? Isn't there a separation?
Mm-hmm.
You see? Yeah, there is. See, what is beautiful about oneness is that, you know, we are physically separate. But when I'm talking to you, you know, I see you as part of my spirit. So so I listen to you when you're talking, and my heart is saying, Burt, listen, because you're going to learn something here. You see what I mean? We never stop learning, but learning is not of words. Learning to go deeper and to see more and to feel more. Because the beauty of love is you feel more. And there's no limit to that feeling. You know, there was a man, and he was also a Catholic, which I love this man. And he during the war, he experienced a lot of suffering. One day he was in a hospital, and a bird flew through the window, and it alighted on his leg. And he looked at this bird, and then the bird flew away. And at that moment he experienced light. At that moment he awakened. And he became Saint Francis of Assisi. And he loved animals, he loved people, and he walked barefoot and he didn't care about anything, you know. And when I say he didn't care, it means to himself. He had his ego was gone completely. And he was in such joy that he wanted to meet the Pope. And the Pope met him. And in the beginning they kept him from seeing the Pope, because here he is, you know, not clean looking, walking barefoot. But when the Pope saw him, he said, He's like an angel, you say. The purity of the man. You've heard of Francis of Assisi, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is it. He had no questions. He had no problems. He was pure love. You see? Now this is, of course, there is no limit. The reason he loved poverty was because the training in Catholicism is poverty. You know, except for the church, which wants money more and more. No. No. You know. Excuse me. But the point here is that the St. Francis became that way because to him that was perfect. And because his ego was gone, he was happy being poor. But the point is that you don't need to be poor financially. You see, because abundance is all part of it.
But it's almost too, he wasn't really poor, didn't exist to him.
Oh
Like
no!
he just didn't want anything.
Oh no! He had
no
he had 3 meals a day like everybody else. He slept okay, even though probably slept on the floor, but he couldn't care less.
Yeah.
You know, he was so in love. He
I
was
bet
so
you that's
in
why
love.
all the animals were attracted to him and loved him.
Yes.
They
Oh yeah.
sensed that he was
Yeah.
all love.
He was all love. The animals would gather all around him.
That he
You
would
see,
never harm.
he was all love. And so when you are all love like that, what is it can you lack? Okay, so the point we're trying to make here is that it's not religion, it's not a belief, it is not anything, that when you come to the point of seeing that love is everything, then that love has no marginal line. There's no limit to it. And the more you feel this love, the more you are in what's called heaven. You see? So we can literally live on earth, in heaven, actually. We can create our own heaven if we stop seeking and be who we are. You are a human being playing the human role. You see? And once we get that, and we start to live from that, there is nothing that could get in the way after that, really. But the point is to learn that no matter what happens in your life, and it's okay, if you find yourself worried, if you find yourself angry, if you find yourself fearful, you don't say, I shouldn't be. You say, oh, that's what I need to look at now. That's what I need to learn. Thank you. Thank you for making me aware of it. You see what I mean? Because everything is okay. Everything is grist for the mill, Ram Dass used to say. You see? And Jesus in the Course of Miracles said, teach only love, for that is what you are. You see? So yeah, let's start to read these, okay? And I'd love to, all three of you, to, could you read the first one?
Sure. For some reason, the last 3 weeks have been so difficult. I have opened up my entire past. This huge need for love and attention has come up, and I know it is my entire past. But it is in my present too. It is like I see so much superficial insincerity in all my interactions. People seem so freaking weird. Why should I want to socialize with these same people that don't invite me for special get-togethers? I feel so unconsidered by them, as I always have. I'm thinking of going on a 10-day silent retreat, but not sure if this is what I need. My life feels so dead, stale, and monotonous. I do feel stupid telling you about this, feeling I should know better, but I cannot shake it. My heart is so broken for some reason, yet I can go to the gym and have the most incredible, challenging workout, which I absolutely love. Any suggestions?
Okay. Okay, so we all listen to that. Okay. And what is the first thing we ask is, how is this person seeking? And the solution is always to be instead of seeking. To be the love that you are seeking. So, this is to make it simple, but just say whatever you want to say about this. You have anything to say, Jan? Or Jerry? Or?
Well, I guess I was just sort of that part about the gym at the end, about being able to be so energized to go and do that, yet feeling so numbed out about
numbed out.
life.
That even that you put off sometimes, right? A person would put off that, even what that which they love,
Yeah.
they can put it off. Okay.
Well, I have a
See,
feeling that when he's working out in the gym, the mind is not thinking. That's why he feels so good. And
That's
the gym
right.
afterwards.
That is right. But the point that we're trying to paint is that even though this person wants to go to the gym and knows that once he goes to the gym or he goes to the gym, they're going to feel good, yet they don't have the energy because they're so caught in seeking to actually make it to the gym. Even though they know they're going to feel better, yet they don't do it. Why is that? Why does seeking create such a paradox?
It seems that that hole that they believe they are, that lack that they believe they are, it's almost like they don't even feel, they're so focused on that personal fulfillment, filling, that they don't even feel worthy of the fulfillment they are.
Very good. And that is the word. They don't feel they deserve love. This is very common. Heavy seekers, they carry a feeling, a subtle guilt. I'm not good enough, I don't deserve love. And so even though the gym will make me feel good, yet somehow or other I even prevent myself from going.
Self-sabotage.
Self-sabotage. Now we see the whole structure of seeking, how it actually creates the very thing.
And in some ways they get to protect themselves with it, because then they say, you see, I am worthless. And then they
Very
get to be
good.
right.
So that they prove themselves that, yes, you see, I am right. I am not good enough. I am right.
And so
People
that,
don't love me.
and
Yes.
that actually allows them to remain in that situation.
That's right.
But they're also
Excellent.
blaming it on everyone else too.
Yes,
For
well, of course.
being weird. You know.
Right. You blame it on the world, you blame it on your boss, you blame it on your friends, you blame it on anyone, right? Yes. That's how the game goes, in order to protect this personality, this person. You see? And imagine when this person drops away and realizes it's never been there anyway, because it never existed. It's all imagination. But imagine the freedom you begin to feel
So this
when you can breathe again.
this person here would have to, like you're saying, see that it's just in their own fabrication, their
It's
own.
in their own fabrication, because they believe that the way they've been raised, they believe that they've convinced themselves that this is who they are. You see? So for example, let's say her name is Mary. Okay? Mary believes that she is Mary the way she thinks Mary is. And she has this idea how Mary is. So maybe they don't love her, maybe this is how people treat her, this is this. And she structured this whole,
Personality.
yeah, you know, and she actually believes it. You see?
Actually, the blaming actually strengthens the separation and therefore gives more power to that.
That's right.
Self-image.
That's right. Do you see the vicious circle there?
And it probably gets proven
Yes.
again and again.
And you keep proving it
continuously.
over and over. So that's why people end up committing suicide. That's why people end up going loony. Because they keep proving themselves that the way they think is right. You see? By attracting to them that which they fear. You know, so okay.
Self-fulfilling.
Yeah, self-fulfilling, right. So this is great. Okay, I don't think we'll have for all four. Which one would be interesting to? There's. Can you read this one? I guess because this one has to do with the Course of Miracles, but at the same time it's very powerful one about God. Could you read that?
The Course states the separation between God and man happened when the Son of God decided to go its own way, after which the ego fragmented the mind, Son, into billions and billions of pieces, giving everything in existence the illusion that we, it, are separate. The separation never really happened, but we think that it did, and the reason we are here is to atone for the original sin. That's a quote from the Course. But if nothing is real, and the separation never happened, after all, how can you be separate from the one who made you? How can there be an original sin? Is the split between the Creator and his creation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, okay, do we understand the words of the Course here? Because it has its own language here, but I understand very clearly. Okay, when it says Christ's Son, okay, it means human being. Okay? You and I. Okay. What else? What else was there?
Separation never really happened.
The separation, you see. Now, also in the Course it says to atone for the separation. Now, what does it mean to atone for the separation? Is it assuming that the separation actually happened?
Yeah, that would be illusion on illusion.
Forgiveness.
So and then it would catch you in that whole original sin trick, which means I'm guilty, mea culpa, mea culpa, mea culpa,
Right.
for something that never happened.
Right. So to atone for the separation, we don't understand it here. What does it mean to atone? Now you see, when we think about atoning, we have to make up for it,
Yeah, that's
to repent. But what if atone means atonement? To be one with. So if we atone, we feel we are one with, where is the separation? You see how you change but that's the way the Course in Miracles means it. You see, the Course in Miracles says to atone for the separation. To atone means that, you see, there is no separation in the first place. At-one-ment, atonement. Are you understanding? So the atonement is a very important premise of the Course in Miracles, which means separation never happened.
Isn't that forgiveness?
That's forgiveness.
Basically.
That's forgiveness. See, when you realize that there is no separation at all, okay, that becomes forgiveness. But forgiveness is not something you do. I repeat myself, okay?
Right.
It is something that you see. You see. There's never been anything that is separate. So the moment you see that there's nothing, no separation, that very seeing at that moment, even though you might have thought, oh, funny that happened, and then you stop. And he says, but that's not possible, because there is no separation. That's forgiveness. So you don't say, I forgive, which is not an action. It is seeing that you don't need to forgive, because there's nothing to forgive. Separation never happened. See, this is why the Course sometimes is a little difficult to understand, because it uses the words, but when you understand them, it is telling you what you already know in your heart. Okay, but it's using words as if something is happening. You see, we have to atone for the separation, which means there is no separation.
It was like thinking something has happened to you.
You think that something has happened to you, right?
Yeah. Or at you, or...
Right. And so you see very clearly that there's only what is, there's only light, there's a separation. There's no separation, never happened. There's only oneness. And you are that one, you are being. The moment you begin to feel that being, all questions, all seeking, everything that has been taking place in your head falls away.
So is it like the seeing that the separation is an illusion?
Yes. Yeah, the separation is an illusion, absolutely. Nothing is separate from anything else. We think of separation, because we think physically we are separate. But even though there is no separation, because even in this room alone, Okay? Like, for example, there was a term called this way. It says, if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one to hear it, will it make a sound? Will it make a sound? If there is no one to hear it? It doesn't make a sound.
Because it takes two it takes duality
Very
to embody, to, you know.
Right. So in this room, there are many sounds. There are many sounds. Thousands and thousands and thousands of sound waves. But we don't hear them unless we have the sophistication to hear them. Like a radio transmitter. Like maybe some phone that where you call somebody on the phone, it's a special signal that reaches that person, they talk to you, and it doesn't matter whether they're 100 miles away, you talk to them as if they're here, because everything is here. But right now you're hearing it, and therefore to you, that sound is here. But if you were to cut off the phone, they could keep talking,
Right.
You won't hear it, so then you say, oh, there's no sound. But in truth, everything is happening and nothing is happening at the same time. Until we have the means, like you said, the duality a sound is not a sound unless you hear it.
Yeah, it's because of the ear. So I'm thinking, is that the same thing then for sight?
Yes.
I mean, there's so many things that we could see right now if we were able to see.
That's right. But if we could see everything that is able to see and hear everything, we'd go crazy.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be able
It's
to
too much
survive.
yeah.
It would be too much. It'd be,
For the eyes, for the ear to process.
right. So we're only equipped survival to receive very little.
But I guess I'm
Okay.
comparing that to even awareness.
Yes.
For instance, you were talking about forgiveness, and I mean, forgiveness is such a moment-to-moment, daily
Right.
thing to do. Really.
Right. Forgiveness is a seeing all the time. So there's a lot of things I cannot see. There's a lot of things I do not hear. But I know in my heart that you're sitting there, you're sitting there, you're sitting there, and you're all part of me, and I am a part of you. And that I know with a shadow of a doubt. And I call it love. You see what I mean? So what I'm saying is that we might not see, we might not hear, we might not be clairvoyant or clairaudient or have all these gifts, and thank God we don't, because we have to be able to handle that responsibility of seeing beyond seeing, because then how do you cope with everyday life, unless of course you're already very advanced. But but the point is that to begin to see it from spiritual vision. Okay?
Yes.
And that spiritual vision makes you see that you are part of everyone. If you walk down the street and you see somebody begging for money, and you see in your mind you see a bum, at that moment you are being a bum. Because you have judged him from what you think you saw. Because what he is a human being, a part of you. You see, but the moment you judge someone, that very judgment falls on you. And immediately, if you were to check your physical energy, you'll find it has gone down maybe 10% or so, the moment you make a judgment. You see? Why? Because you're not only separating, but at the same time, you are nullifying the oneness. You're nullifying the love that you really are. See, when a person is someone on the level of Ramana Maharshi, or someone very, very pure love, you see, they see very clearly how we think and feel and everything else. But when they look at us, they even see how we are thinking and feeling. But they have so much love for us that it won't matter. They don't see us as sinful. They see us as, well, the poor dears, they need to wake up a little more.
And the people felt that acceptance.
And everybody feels that
Joy,
acceptance,
joy,
yeah. When Ramana Maharshi used to just sit there, and children would be very hyperactive, and they would be very sick, and they would be wailing, and the mothers would bring him next to Ramana Maharshi, and they would go quiet. Yeah, oh, you read the stories, it's just unbelievable. One time he was lost in the mountain, and they were afraid for him, you know, and they saw him actually petting a cobra. You see, lions, tigers, nobody could attack him. And they said one time, they said to him, "Aren't you afraid?" And they said, "Would you be afraid? Would a stone be afraid?" No, how did he say it? He said, "Why didn't they attack you?" He said, would a tiger attack a stone?" He said, so imagine, he equated himself as being a stone as far as fear is concerned. There's absolutely no fear. You see?
Well, I don't exactly remember the source of this. I read this, that they've done some research, and they found that the snakes attack only the people who have a preconception of needing to protect themselves.
Yes, animals
so
attack
fear actually
Yeah.
is there first, but if there's no fear, they don't, like if they don't feel like they need to protect,
Right.
then they don't attack.
Exactly.
So
See,
they
survival instinct in all animals is when they can smell fear. You see? And so the moment they smell fear, immediately their protective instinct for survival, because that's, you know, they don't have the intelligence maybe to that point of reasoning things out. So therefore they attack, but if they see no fear, they don't attack. You see, so what we call wild animals, it is the wild humans that make them wild. They go hunting and shooting them. But anyway, so I hope that we've learned something very precious about love, and all you need to work is really that you are seeking love all the time. And it's wonderful when you find that you are seeking love, because that's what you need to look at to awaken that love. Okay? And namaste.
Namaste.